Hello, everyone, and welcome to IB There, our daily live stream in which we connect the digital ecosystem. I'm Eric John, Vice President of the Media Center here at IB. In today's session called What's Trending in Today's Digital Marketplace, we'll be discussing the growth in digital media through the lens of CTV and streaming and the innovation and strategy behind the launch of HBO Max with ads and the ongoing evolution of viewer and consumer expectations. I'm excited to welcome today's guest, Ryan Gould from Warner Media. He's head of digital ad sales across the Warner Media portfolio, including entertainment, CNN, HBO Max, and their programmatic offerings. Most recently, Ryan was serving as SVP of sales and client partnerships for Warner Media ad sales, and he was developing strategy for entertainment brands, including TBS, TNT, True TV, and Cartoon Network. Ryan is based right here in New York. And Ryan, let's get started. That is a big portfolio in your remit. Can you just share a little bit about what is your day-to-day right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Eric. Really excited to be here with you today. No 2 days are alike. Every day is different. As you noted, a lot of oversight and a lot of premium brands that our fans love. So I spend a good part of my day working cross-functionally to build our digital go-to-market. So that could be with our network partners, it could be with our product teams, so on and so forth. And I also spend a great deal of my time working and leading a great team that structures advertising partnerships, particularly in digital, across news, entertainment, HBO Max, as well as programmatic with our agency and marketing partners.
Perfect. So let's think about for a minute and jump into the current marketplace. Here we are in Q4, and I want to give some quick context to what we've all been seeing in terms of the shift to streaming and the growth in video and CTV. Incredible as it may seem, US adults now spend 13.5 hours per day with media. Over half of that, 7.5 hours, is with digital media. And of that time spent, digital video grew 25% in 2020 and now represents an hour and 17 minutes per day. And what's incredible to think about is, obviously the ad dollars always follow the audience. IB does a study each year. We call it the Video Ad Spend Report, and we interview buyers and brands. Those brands and buyers are estimating that 35% of them are expecting to increase their CTV spend this year. A lot of that spend is coming from linear. 73% of CTV buyers are shifting dollars from broadcast and cable TV. So obviously, you've got the shift in audience and the shift in dollars. And that's a ton of attention happening in video. And we didn't even mention the growth in podcasting. So Ryan, if you could, just how are you positioning the portfolio that's now under your watch to be where those audiences are?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned audio. We can save that for a next conversation because we have a burgeoning audio business for sure. But as we entered this pandemic, and hopefully we're coming out of it, we talk a lot about the new normal, and the shift to streaming and connected TV is definitely something that we consider as our new normal. And it's our jobs as leaders in the video marketplace to be consultative to our marketing partners and marketers and agency partners. So, you mentioned the shift from traditional linear into streaming. We're actually seeing it across all mediums, right? Connected TV continues to take share across all mediums. And the way that we try to guide our partners to work with us is how can we complement our traditional linear partnership with this growth in streaming. So some marketplace trends that me and the team are seeing on a day-to-day basis is definitely a focus on premium environments and the quality of the content that lives in connected TV and OTT. That is really, really, really important. Aside from that, I think that flexibility continues to be something that we continue to work with our partners on a day-to-day basis. And as I have conversations internally and externally, I think we're talking about the right types of flexibility. There's supply chain issues that are affecting everything from chips to chicken these days, right? So having creative flexibility to not only if you're a big CPG client, to pivot and swap out your creative to focus on the right brands that you have supply, and then optimize against audiences is definitely one of the advantages of connected TV. But those are two big trends that we're seeing amongst others. And then ease of partnership for us, right? Like that's what we strive to do as a media company every single day, is how can we help our partners separate the signal from the noise and be the best partners to not only our brand partners, but the same way that we produce and distribute content to our fans, we want to service our customers and our fans equally.
So speaking of fans, we're all watchers of HBO, and with that attention to quality content, there's this dance for managing audience in and advertising, the relationship between audience and edit. And so there's a lot of discussion right now about that push-pull between contextual and audience-based targeting. How are what's that conversation like right now, and how are you counseling your clients on how to reach their audiences in the right way?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think that unfortunately, the truth is in the middle, right? If you really want to solely focus on audiences and attribution, it's hard to do that for every single brand. But for some brands, quite frankly, it works. For us, we really believe in, and not to sound cliche, but sending the right message to the right person at the right time across the right medium while being contextually aligned. That's where we see the value exchange between our advertising partners and our fans, because our fans actually want to engage in that advertising. We launched a report a month ago called The State of Intentionalism, and people are more prescriptive with their time as we went into the pandemic. And I think the onus falls on us as a media owner to ensure that we are tactful and mindful when delivering ads. And to go back to your earlier question, Eric, about marketplace trends, I think that there's a lot of collaboration happening right now between marketers, agencies, media owners, and technology companies to do just that, right? Send the right message to the right person at the right time across the right medium, along with a contextual alignment, which is hard to do.
Yeah. And so that's IAB's. I tell my mom, what do I do at IAB? We are literally trying to be the UN that brings together all these parties to, ultimately make it easier for consumers and brands to connect. And I think that's the interesting thing right now is there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of competition for attention out there. And there's a lot of interest in what's happening with HBO Max with ads. And the truth is we've got a lot of our viewers that they may have actually entered the world of streaming, consuming content that had no ads. So Ryan, this past summer, HBO Max with ads was launched. Share with us, if you can, some of the learnings since launch, it's everyone is very curious, of course, about that discovery around content and editorial and how you're making the ad experience, better in this premium environment.
Yeah, absolutely. June 2nd, monumental day for Warner Media, introducing HBO Max with ads, not only to consumers, but also the advertising marketplace. So, simply said, I think the biggest learning is when you put the customer at the center, not only does it help our brand partners, but it also increases and improves engagement. We were fortunate enough to have a ton of creative diversity at launch. We had over 72 brands partake in our launch of HBO Max with ads. And that allowed us to manage frequency capping, right? Bad ads in connected TV in streaming is something that's paramount to a poor user experience. And we were able to get out in front of that. So not only having creative diversity, but having a dynamic ad load, sending the right ads to the right people at the right time. And quite frankly, showing less ads the more that people had consumed our content and engaged in the platform was a positive outcome for our fans and our brand partners. So, we have a ton of work to do to build off of that, and we're super excited to do so. But those were the key learnings that we're most excited about.
Super. Yeah, the realities of diversity in society and what that means for a publisher to get it right with the full depth and breadth of people is a huge opportunity, and we're seeing that playing out in podcasting, for instance. But I want to also talk about the expectations of all these audiences around the ad experience, and I know there's been some innovation coming from your team around new ad offerings. I'm thinking in particular of the brand block. What are some of the learnings around right ad to the right audience at the right time, but actually the container that you do that with?
Yeah, absolutely. And HBO Max with ads was our foray into building the complete ecosystem from the ground up. So our approach with HBO Max with ads is quite contrarian to anything that you're going to see in market, and it truly benefits not only our fans and our audiences, but also our brands. Our ethos is quite simple: more impact in less time, right? So the first thing that I think that we did that was very different and unique on HBO Max with ads is we created a technology that basically provides our users with a dynamic break structure. So essentially, you don't have a time-based break structure. The more that you watch, the less advertising you see. So we've built cohorts on our end based on who people are, how much they've engaged in content on the platform, what they're watching, and how long they've been watching. And we serve dynamic ad breaks to them based on their viewing session, which I think is really, really important.
That is groundbreaking. No, that's the whole promise of dynamic. Actually, breaking up the pod in a way that really biases towards audience.
We actually only offer ad breaks as long as 60 seconds, no longer than 60 seconds. And we actually incorporate no more than 2 ad breaks within 2 ad units within a break, which I think is really, really impactful. So we created the first what I'll call innovative ad format in our brand block, which is pretty simple. What we try to do is take 2 to 3 minutes of commercial time and condense it down to 27 to 47 seconds. And basically, we allow a single brand to own that creative cadence to literally do what I said in the beginning of this preamble, is to provide more impact for our brands in less time. So again, we want to reward our users for engaging with the platform, and we believe that brands can experience some of that upside as well. So our preliminary results, which we'll be teasing out throughout the rest of the year for the brand blocks, are really, really promising, and I'm excited with the ad products that we're going to build around that.
We kind of talk about the influence of the pandemic on accelerating a ton of consumer behavior. One of those has obviously been the way we shop, day to day. I mean, the numbers for this Christmas season around e-commerce are just staggering. And that kind of points to the reality that any brand or publisher, for that matter, really needs to get their DTC game and e-commerce strategy together. How are you and your team kind of helping those brands, either established brands or emergings, kind of accomplish that goal of direct to consumer through the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And direct to consumer and shopper marketing budgets, they're relying on scale, frankly, right? You need mass reach, and The beauty of our offering is I don't think it's specific just to HBO Max with ads and streaming in general. What we try to do is we try to build well-rounded strategies built off multiple tactics. So we'll put to work our traditional linear environments as well as digital across all platforms. You mentioned audio. Audio is definitely one of the areas that we'll put forth for any companies that are trying to go direct to consumers or more traditional brands that are trying to build that direct connection with the end shopper and really have the vertical integration of supply chain from actually producing into selling.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me excited in connected TV, though, is the functionality to be able to serve dynamic creative on the fly. So not only can we carousel multiple products, but we can also send dynamic product messaging to the right people. And then quite frankly, on connected TV environments, there's a seamless connection to the phone, right? They're both sharing the same internet address. And there's a lot that we can do, not only through throw to phones and QR codes, but in terms of building identity and identity graphs and partnering with not only our agency partners, but marketers and tech companies is helping drive those consumers further down funnel to a purchase. And I feel very confident on where this marketplace is going. There's a lot of noise around measurement and attribution. I think that we're moving down a pathway that media owners and quite frankly, agencies are going to get credit for the work that they do throughout that purchase funnel.
Yeah. Ryan, just thinking about, there's a ton of IP across the whole portfolio for Warner. Speaking of myself, I am a huge fan of Stanley Tucci as he adventures through Italy, and it makes me want to go back to Tuscany every 5 minutes. But that is an example of content that is really super serving, a foodophile like me. How do you think about audience and content and that range of library that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we both agree that no one has a better job at Warner Media.
I want that job.
Yeah, that makes two of us, and probably a lot of the people listening. But we have a term internally that IP is the new prime time, and we truly believe that. And it happens across our entire portfolio, whether it's sports, news, or entertainment. Most recently, last weekend, we were able to launch DC Fandom for the second year in a row, where we announced a lot of our key announcements around the DC universe, whether it was the Batman trailer or celebrating Wonder Woman's 80-year anniversary. But just to give you a sense of how interested our fans are to this IP, we drove 66 million global views in a 2-day period. So IP is definitely the new prime time for not only us, but it should be for our advertising partners as well.
Yeah, that is an amazing asset to have at your fingertips. Looking into and beyond, the end of Q4, what are some of the obstacles that if you could like wave a magic wand and into next year, what would you most like to see addressed kind of at an industry level to make it easier for brands and buyers to get on the CTV and the streaming wagon and just, prove it at the end of the day?
Yeah. If I had a magic wand with one wish, it would be to end ad fraud in connected TV. It's probably the one thing that could, halt it and stop the momentum of connected TV environments. And frankly speaking, I feel very fortunate to be in a position of strength in connected TV environments, being at a company like Warner Media, who has years and years of history producing television quality content. And again, we're seeing our agency partners react in positive ways to protect against it. A lot of our partners are curating inventory through programmatic pipes, or doing deals directly with us, which is really, really important. But part of the beauty of connected TV in the pandemic is that it lowered the barrier of entry to the living room, quite frankly, not only for advertisers, but also for media owners, right? If you look at how Warner Media built our television footprint, it took hundreds of millions of dollars in distribution deals with the MVPDs. right? I think that there's platforms that are out there today that really can allow you to get into a living room as a media owner. And more importantly, you don't need $50 million to get an ad on a TV in a living room anymore. But the problem that persists with that is ad fraud. And I think that that's probably the one thing that as an industry, we need to lock arms on to get out in front of as it pertains to connected TV.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it there. It is ultimately a supply chain conversation. So yeah, I know on IB's front, we're doing a lot right now to increase the transparency between buyers and sellers and shine the light on where the bad guys are by showing who the good guys are. Basically, tell us who the right sellers are and resellers are, open up that transparency of the whole supply chain, and it can help a lot. But it
Well,
is never,
yeah, well, I can speak on behalf of a lot of my colleagues and quite frankly, friends in the industry. We're thankful for that work and supportive. So however we can help, we're on the same page there.
Thanks so much. And then just to kind of bring us home, is there anything you can tease us with in terms of new shows, or what is the hot, what are they watching in the Gould household right now?
Yeah, we're watching a lot of sports. We're watching a lot of NHL on TNT right now, which I'm loving Charles Barkley and Wayne Gretzky going at it, and
Yeah.
the parents is always great. Continuing to watch a lot of news, and most recently on HBO Max, Succession. You got to watch Succession. So that's what we're watching. In terms of what's coming down the line, I think that we're going to be announcing some really interesting technology around how we look at contextual and kind of bring that last piece of right person, right time, right modality around the right context. We're using our first party data to really land the plane on contextual. So more to come there from a B2B perspective.
Well, this is great intel, and thanks for sharing the roadmap and the vision. Thanks, Ryan Gould, for joining us today on IAB There. I'm Eric John. Thanks, everybody, for watching.